Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got Twitter. We got XRP Ledger and EuroStablecoin. You're going to want to know about it. Coinbase VP on the Amicus brief. Former SEC advisor said Ripple's on track to win. And we're going to also hear from FedNow as they talk going live. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for exclusive content. $1.05 trillion market cap. We are 0.7% down on the cryptocurrency market cap. Good afternoon. 20,300 plus for Bitcoin. Ethereum 1,500 plus. XRP is 45 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing better than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto. But wait, oh yeah, there's more. 9.5% APY staking in an IRA, a crypto IRA. You find that, beat that, bring it to me because I want to know about it. Until then, links underneath the video. Former Ripple CTO teases new project that will use XRP. Former Ripple teases new project that will use XRP. Well, I went and found this from Stephen Thomas's feed. This is the most recent thing he's got here. He says, I'm coding again. New project DASI. Interledger P2P micropayments network, direct access to ILP without gatekeepers. Settlement using crypto, XRP first, BTC, ETH, more over time. Live stream Interledger Summit, November 12th, launch 2023. So 1 year from now is what we're looking at, essentially. I'm very excited. It makes me think of Coil. I covered this morning where Elon in this video, I'm not going to play it again, I'll just cover it very quickly. They're sitting at the table trying to discuss how to eliminate paywalls that are currently on the internet. If you just want to pay for an article, just pay 10 cents, 1 Doge, 25 cents or whatever it is, just to view that article instead of a monthly or yearly subscription. I love it. I think it's going to really catch fire, and I think Coil or maybe even DASI could have a hand in it. Eleanor Tarrant tells us here, according to a former SEC employee, this off-channel communication, as we've heard about through Gary Gensler's regime and tenure in government and agencies, we're hearing now that that off-channel communication has been part of the agency culture for years. This person tells me that former chairman Jay Clayton was a texter and preferred to use his personal accounts to avoid potential FOIA conflicts, Freedom of Information Act. How about that? John Deaton says, rightfully so, isn't that a shock? Not. People need to realize that these people represent the worst of the swamp. They don't forget that they are public servants because they never believed they were or are public servants. They have contempt for the individual investor. It applies to both parties. I couldn't agree more. And while we're still wrestling with the uncertainty, the lack of clarity, and all of this to go with the market, it is clear where we are going, and I do believe that the Ripple case will be legal precedent to help define this space, just as I also believe that XRP isn't just a digital asset, it's a digital asset that will become a backbone to the digital asset space. And here we see China's trying to make their own little impression with the China yuan. They are leading the CBDC race at the moment. Nation Central Bank is teaming up with an e-commerce heavyweight in an effort to boost adoption. The parties will be giving away another 2.7 million digital yuan worth of coins in e-voucher form. That happens right now. So that is just continuing to run away. But over in Europe, we are seeing that there is progress. Remember, we just had some legislation passed just not long ago, and that was put through. And I know that there's going to be waves of legislation to come through, but regulation in the way of the EU, I believe it was, we covered it, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, Well, here we see that we are getting a launch of a euro-pegged stablecoin. Stasis Euro has been integrated into Ripple's XRP Ledger. Stasis said its decision to integrate on XRP Ledger was because of its significant benefits such as advanced scalability, increased speed, and lower costs. If we go into the article, I'll just go down and read this small part here. It says it solidify our asset for the next cycle of stablecoin market adoption. So they're citing that the XRP Ledger is going to be a place where the next cycle of stablecoin market adoption, this makes sense to be on the XRP Ledger, they're thinking, right? Our ongoing partnership will focus on exploring the newly emerged opportunities of XRP to enable better financial inclusion as well as a stablecoin infrastructure and services. It says also it's going to bring more interoperability and lowered costs. The Euro S is an Ethereum-based stablecoin pegged to the Euro. This is going to provide more increased scalability and speed and lower costs. So there we have that. Then there's this. I remind you of what we covered this morning. USDC stablecoin backed by Circle Goldman Sachs gets approval in Singapore. Things are moving much quicker. Now think of this for a moment. Some of you have not done it yet. Some of you have. You think it is or isn't. But think of this for a moment. USDC becomes the digital retail facing official US dollar, digital dollar for retail. If that's right, and you know I've been speculating that is going to be the case at some point. If that's right, we just watched another step forward in another region of the world where the USDC stablecoin is going to be accepted and used. Which, again, if that ends up being correct, then what we're watching is the adoption of the retail digital dollar before it actually becomes that. Pay close attention, everybody. It may, if that's what they become, we have been reporting on the adoption of the digital retail dollar before it ever gets crowned. And that's why we keep watching. This is Coinbase VP on the Amicus. I think Jeremy Hogan said it best here. Why did they decide to file? Jeremy says, everything changed when the SEC stepped back from its Ethereum is not a security stance. And I don't think you could say it anymore.
Have just filed to support Ripple against the SEC case. What can you tell us about that?
So we've not only filed we filed an amicus brief, a Friends of the Court brief in supporting the Ripple litigation. We've also done it with the Grayscale ETP. And just broadly speaking, these are issues of, fair notice, meaning regulators need to give the market fair notice of expected conduct before they take an enforcement action. I think it's been very clear over the past 5 years, the rules have been unclear. It's not clear how to what the SEC is asking for generally. In July, we actually filed a petition for rulemaking, which is very unusual for an entity to ask a regulator to be regulated. And the reason we did that is because there's a lot of uncertainty on where different regulators have authority. And what's missing today is a digital asset securities market. There is no way to tokenize equity or debt, trade it, or issue it. There's no rule set that exists today under the SEC's purview to pursue that. And there's a lot of ambiguity on whether or not the SEC should have authority over commodities. And that's what the DCCPA is trying to help draw the line, and what the CFTC's authority over commodity is and what the SEC's authority over securities is. And so the reason we file these amicus briefs is because all the policy as of to date is being done in the courts, right? So the decisions the courts are going to make are going to help draw these lines. And so until we have affirmative notice and comment rulemaking at agencies and legislation passed to mandate that, our only recourse is to have this discussion, debate in the courts. And that's why we filed those amicus briefs in support of Ripple and Grayscale.
And there you have that. But I still think sometimes there is just a vibration to truth that just is undeniable. And that's why I think Jeremy Hogan's got it right here. Everything changed when the SEC stepped back from its Ethereum is not a security stance. Next thing you know, Coinbase is saying, hey, this is not right what's happening in Ripple, right? Yeah. Professor J.W. Verrett of George Mason University, Scalia School of Law, respectively, believed that Ripple is on track to win this case. Well, I tell you what, shout out to him. He says here, basically, Ripple has been in legal battle with the SEC for almost over 2 years, which we all know. There was a spot here I wanted to pick it up. Oh, I think it's this right here, isn't it? I believe it is. Legal expert Kurt Levy and the Federalist Society, Professor J.W. Verrett, George Mason University, Scalia Law, respectively believe that Ripple is on track to win this case, according to Verrett, if the SEC decides to appeal to the Supreme Court, which we have discussed here multiple times. It is likely to lose, which would set a precedent that would limit or eliminate entirely the application of Howey on cryptocurrencies. The Howey test is used to determine whether certain transactions qualify as investment contracts and are therefore subject to U.S. securities laws. Another leading legal expert, attorney Jeremy Hogan, stated SEC would be unable to prove its case against the company unless Judge Torres, who is presiding over the case, forgets her first year of law school. There it is. I mean, we'll see where this goes, right? But I mean, this is getting interesting. And as Stuart Alderati said, we are at the beginning of the end, which means we're also at the beginning of something else. And it's things like FedNow. And this is a little clip I want to give you from payments.com, I think it is, that was covering and reporting on this information and this interview. And they're talking to this lady right here about what is going on with FedNow. And listen to the last minute here, I believe it is. 1 second. Here we go. Let's go right here.
Are there other milestones coming up with the pilot participants that you can speak to here? Because to kind of, wrap up.
The big ones, I mean, for the pilot program, we're nearing the finish line. And so testing kicks off now. It's, 6 to 9 months, a couple of rounds of testing and certification that pilots will go through to hit that go live next May to July. Maybe more important than the pilot program is, given where we're at, we're now throwing open the doors and really inviting any financial institution who wants to go live in 2023, 2024 to begin engaging with us and collaborating on their implementation. We just had an early adopter workshop. We had 120 plus organizations come forward to that 2-day event, real preparation, roll up your sleeves, because they want to be there right behind the pilots when we go live. So we're encouraging organizations, now's the time to start planning. We're going to be publishing our operating circular, which will be the rule set for the service in the coming weeks. And that really gives an organization all of the information about the service, the pricing, the rules, everything they need to decide, to make the decision to move forward, to get on board. So we come one, come all. We're really looking to collaborate with organizations who want to pioneer instant payments in the U.S.
I love that. That sounds like it's like you're ready to, run the motor a little bit, not just idle it. That sounds cool.
Ready to roll.
Yeah. Connie, thank you so much for coming on Payments. I appreciate it. Senior Vice President, Industry Relations for FedNow. Great.
Senior Vice President for Industry Relations for FedNow. And listen, reminder, we know Ripple is working with the U.S. Faster Payments Council on these matters, right? Now, we all know domestically they don't need to settle anything with XRP. But I do believe, however, if I understand the way things are being put together, this is a way to organize the liquidity in a digital tokenized way through something like FedNow. And the benefit is 24/7, 365 instant payments and settlement. But once that liquidity is organized domestically, I believe it can be used for very, very large movements of value and settlement of value through XRP, through that system to other payment systems, tying the world together in a much, much easier, ubiquitous way, even on the wholesale back end as well as the retail front end. Look, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below. I'll catch all of you on the next one. Not financial advice.